Christian mystics have always interpreted that as kind of death we have to all go through, usually suffering in death, to then feel reborn as the whole, belonging to the divine. In other words, deeply belonging to the whole, not feeling separate anymore, not feeling the weighty pressures and stress of the individual going through their trials and tribulations. So it's quite a graphic metaphor in Christianity of Jesus, first his project, his Sangha, his movement, teaching people how to live more simply and not go after material things and recognize the kingdom of God as everything around us. His noble mission starting to collapse, get in trouble, people complain about him, people betray him, doesn't seem to bring success in the world in the way we hope to change the world. And then he gets arrested and persecuted, and then the real intense suffering, being on the cross, being unsure what it's all for, losing your noble demeanor, falling into struggle, even doubting the divine, right? At one point, why hast thou forsaken me? You all know that line, right? It says on the cross, supposedly, in the story. So sometimes it takes a lot of struggle to let go. Maybe always. Doesn't seem to always. Sometimes you feel a great letting go without much of a struggle, but it seems the struggle comes sometimes. And then finally a great letting go. If you read the history of the Jesus movement, as historically accurate as some people feel they can get, there was a big crisis in the community after Jesus was killed. People didn't expect that. They thought he would usher in a golden age and become a great leader, but instead he was demeaned and killed. A lot of people probably left the movement. Other people struggled to make sense of it. It's an interesting history. You can read about it in Jesus, a Revolutionary Biography, interesting book. But the story they settled on is that had to happen. Struggle and falling down has to happen. Fully release the ideas and expectations of this life and become just what we always were, presence itself, the whole itself. I remember as a kid traveling to, I think I was 6 and 7, traveling in Europe for the first time with my parents. And we went to a lot of cathedrals, which is what you do, I guess, particularly as an American in Europe. And I really liked them. More than the museums we also went to a lot. I liked the space, of course, and the Gothic cathedrals and the candles. But I was really fascinated with the Jesus statues and image, particularly on the cross. I guess maybe a lot of kids would be. It's pretty graphic and dramatic. There's something really powerful about having the symbol of veneration be a symbol of struggle. Much later, when I was in Austria doing a private retreat, I remember coming out after a couple of weeks of just being alone in this little cabin on the mountain, and I hitchhiked a ride into the town to get some food. Salfelden, it's called. And I went by the church, and they had a big, Jesus on the cross, all bleeding and everything. And it just struck me like fresh how bizarre that was. That the symbol of this religion was this bleeding, dying person nailed to a cross. So morbid, but also there's great power in it. All of our suffering, we can connect to that suffering. Feel we're not alone and feel that there's something transformative about the suffering. And that it's the portal to resurrection. It's something new that's not yourself. And that coincides with the return of spring. So that's my Easter talk. It might be a week before Easter. Thought appropriate with my own difficulties that I've been experiencing. But every Easter, I think I like. It's a powerful story. And I really like connecting with the deep, essential message of all the different religions and all their different ways of metaphors. Because although many of them have gotten dogmatic and lost their way, there's almost always a kernel of really beautiful, personally relevant story in most of the religions.